Hi everyone, welcome back to my playthrough of Braid. Last we left off, finished World 3, well, most of World 3, we're still missing 2 pieces, but we'll get back to that later. So now, at this point, I have 2 choices, World 4 or World 5 down there. I'm going to go in sequential order, so we'll stick with World 4. This one's called Time and Place. Now, out of all the other levels, this one is, like, the name of this is very important to figuring out how this works. And I'll skip these books. I'll get back to those later. So this is going to look very similar to the last level. There's a pit, there's a key down there, and there's a guy, and nothing seems to be moving. So in this place, time increases when you walk forward, and then it reverses when you walk back. Now, the key to this is Tim, who's the little guy walking around. He's kind of like in his own time stream, because like I'm going left and right, and that makes time go forward and backwards. But if I jump up and down, nothing happens. Nothing changes. So horizontally, time changes. But for Tim, he can move back and forth while the rest of the world is affected by his movement. But the thing is, this is different than the reversing of time for Tim. It's completely different. The two are separate, and that's the biggest thing that people need to get through for this level, or series of levels, is just that time moves left, forward and backwards depending on which way Tim goes, and it's independent of him going backwards and forwards in time. So let's proceed. Get the key. Now he's going back, but because the key's green, just take that and go back. Aha, green key in my hand, and move forward. So instead of boring you with game mechanics, I'm going to go back to something I was talking about earlier. One thing that all YouTubers who play games suffer from is they get so focused in the game that they kind of lose their track of what they were talking about, and it becomes really hard to figure out what are you talking about and what's going on. And that makes it really difficult for, discussions, talking about the weather, what have you. So I want to get back to the topic of my gaming history, since, I'm playing games, so probably a good idea to know, hey, what games have you played? What's your experience? And that's a fair question. Like I said, I started with the Super NES. Awesome, great. But go back this far. So I started with the Super NES. Not going to talk much about that. Most of it was Super Mario, and I sucked at it, like I said before. So basically, I'm just going to move on to my N64 days, which were amazing. Like, I don't think I can stress enough how much I loved the games I played on the Nintendo 64. It basically revolutionized my childhood in a good way, I hope. So the first one I played, Super Mario 64, and I'm gonna admit I bought it because of the commercial. And if you don't know what commercial it is, look up the first Mario 64 commercial, and you'll know exactly what I mean. So basically, Super Mario commercial basically revolutionized like how I thought about games, because it was a 3D world and Mario was swimming through it and jumping through it and like crazy stuff like that. And at the time, that was like mind-boggling. Even though 3D games kind of already existed already because of go back. Yeah. So small thing here. Enemies are invincible when you're going backwards in time when you hit them, because for some reason, if you're hitting somebody while you're going forward and they're going back, it causes no damage. When you go forward in time and you jump on somebody, then they die. So in this case, I want him to live and make it to the key, so I need to figure out how to get up here with keeping him alive. So it's actually trickier than it sounds. But anyway, yeah, Super Mario 64, first game I played. It was fantastic. It was an experience. And I loved every minute of it. Let's go back up here. And it just set the tone for like the rest of my gaming adventures. So next one after that was Wave Race 64, which me and my brother and my stepbrothers, we played that all the time, even though like at the age we were, it just, I don't know, we just couldn't get the hang of it. It wasn't until like years of playing it that I finally get the knack of like making the sharp turns and using the guy who had like really good turning abilities. But that was my first racing game. But you know, the game that stuck out for me the most was Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and it was just I don't know, it was just how the level design was carried out, how like, you know, there was these towns you could go to and you could visit, and there was like actually like an adventure that you could like take part in. And that just, you know, that just really stuck out to me, because it's like, oh my god, I'm like living in a world and, you know, I can do these things. Gotta double bounce on him, so I had to bounce the one way to not kill him and then bounce on the other way to kill him. There we go. Ta-da. And open because it's green. I gotta come back to life. So yeah, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, there was a point where like I knew how to get every single collectible in that game, and I knew every song by heart. I could play the ocarina in a way that I could actually play the real song. And gotta bring back to life. Oh, and I died. Can't kill him. Can't kill me. Okay, just gonna wait for this thing to go down. Alright. Whew. Yeah, so, but the games that really stuck out to me were the multiplayer games, because so it was my brother and my two stepbrothers. So it was 4 players, which was perfect for the Nintendo 64. It just, you know, it allowed me to, you know, no cat bunny, you will not get me this time. But yeah, having 4 players on hand almost all the time made all the multiplayer games that much better. What happened? He didn't get the key. Alright. Alright, slight technical difficulties here. Yeah, so first game I remember where we played a lot of multiplayer was Star Fox 64, and that game was amazing. Like, I probably put too much time than I would like to admit into that game. And it I don't know, just we had our defining characters. For some reason, I was always Slippy. Somehow, I got designated to be Slippy, which I don't know why, but I was Slippy. um, and you know, my one brother would be Peppy. My one stepbrother would be Fox, always Fox. I think it was Joey. I think Joey was always Fox, and my other stepbrother was always Falco. And we would just spend hours playing that game, just flying around, you know, whatever few. They only had like a few multiplayer maps, but that was enough. Just playing that game was enough to go like, this is amazing.